Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. In the middle of the chaos, a big truck drove through the intersection, ignoring the red light. The truck crashed into other cars with a loud noise. Glass broke and fell everywhere. Everything spun out of control, then turned black. Robert felt calm in the darkness. He did not feel pain or fear. There was only empty space all around him. He tried to move, but he did not have a body. He tried to talk, but he had no mouth. "This is a problem," a voice said in the emptiness. The voice sounded strange, not like a man or woman, and a little bit like metal. "Yes, we made a mistake," said another voice. This voice was higher, but also odd. Two shapes appeared in the empty space. They were long and made of light. It hurt to look at them. They kept changing shape and did not look like anything he knew. What is happening? Robert's thoughts filled the space. The first being flickered brighter. "You've died, Robert Chen. Car accident. Quite messy. But there's been a clerical error," the second being added, producing what looked like a glowing tablet from nowhere. "According to our records, you were supposed to die as... Oh dear." "What? What's wrong?" The beings exchanged what might have been glances. "We marked you down as female. The death certificate, the universal records. Everything shows a woman died in that crash." "That doesn't make sense. I'm not..." "No, you're not. Which is why we have a problem." The first being's light dimmed slightly. "If we send you back as you were, it will cause a temporal paradox. Reality doesn't appreciate those." "Send me back? But I'm dead." "Death is more flexible than your species believes," the second being explained. "We can return you to the moment of impact, but to maintain the timeline's integrity, you'll need to match our records." Robert's consciousness reeled. "You're saying you have to make me female?" "Temporarily permanent, yes. Your body will be restructured to match what we've already filed. Brown hair, 5'6", approximately 130 pounds. This is insane. There's one more complication." The first being's tone grew apologetic. "The records also indicate pregnancy. 8 weeks." "What?" "An unfortunate additional error. But it's already in the system. To change it now would require authorization from levels far above us." The void began to pulse with strange energy. Robert felt his consciousness being pulled, compressed, reshaped. "Wait, I don't consent to this. The alternative is permanent death. Choose quickly." The pulling sensation intensified. Robert's awareness fragmented, scattered, then suddenly snapped back together. But everything felt wrong, smaller, lighter, different. "The transfer is complete. Good luck, Miss Chen." Reality crashed back like a tidal wave. She gasped, lungs burning as they filled with air. The cars remained surrounded her, twisted metal and shattered glass. But her body, everything had changed. Breasts pressed against a seatbelt that now fit differently. Long brown hair hung past her shoulders, some strands sticky with blood. Her hands were smaller, fingers more delicate as they fumbled with the belt release. The passenger seat held horror. Marcus, her best friend since college, sat motionless. His head tilted at an impossible angle, eyes staring at nothing. Blood trickled from his mouth. "Marcus!" Her voice came out higher, unfamiliar. She reached for him with trembling hands, checking for a pulse she knew she wouldn't find. "No, no, no." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. She climbed through the shattered driver's side window, her smaller frame making it easier than it should have been. The gray cotton t-shirt she wore, had she been wearing gray, rode up, exposing a flat stomach that supposedly carried life she couldn't comprehend. Miss, are you all right?" A police officer jogged toward her, hand on his radio. "Stay still, you might have injuries." She looked down at herself. Jeans that were too long now bunched at her ankles. The gray shirt hung loose on her smaller frame. Everything felt alien. I'm okay." The feminine voice still shocked her. "But my friend, he's..." "Let the paramedics handle it. What's your name?" "Rob." She caught herself. What had the beings called her? "Robin. Robin Chen." The officer nodded, already accepting her as female without question. "Okay, Robin, can you tell me what happened?" She pointed with a shaking hand toward the intersection. The truck, it ran the red light, came out of nowhere. More emergency vehicles arrived. Paramedics swarmed the scene. She watched them extract Marcus's body with professional efficiency, zipping him into a black bag that made everything final, real, unchangeable. "Ma'am, we need to check you over." A female paramedic appeared at her elbow, guiding her toward an ambulance. "Any pain? Dizziness?" "I'm pregnant." The words tumbled out before she could stop them. Some instinct warned her to establish this fact early, to match whatever records the beings had created. The paramedic's demeanor shifted immediately. "How far along?" 8 weeks? Then we definitely need to examine you, come on." She climbed into the ambulance, noting how her body moved differently. Center of gravity lower, hips wider, every gesture required conscious thought. The paramedic helped her onto a gurney, checking vital signs with gentle efficiency. "Blood pressure's a little high, but that's expected after an accident. I want to take you in for an ultrasound, make sure everything's okay with the baby." The baby. Her hand moved instinctively to her stomach, feeling nothing different through the gray fabric. How could there be life growing inside a body that hadn't existed an hour ago? "Is there someone we can call? Husband? Boyfriend?" "No, I'm single." At least that matched his previous life. Robert had been unattached, focused on work at the accounting firm downtown. The ride to the hospital blurred past. She stared at her hands, smaller, no calluses from weekend basketball games, nails slightly longer than Robert had ever kept them. The brown hair kept falling into her peripheral vision, a constant reminder of the impossible change. At the hospital, they wheeled her into an examination room. A nurse handed her a green hospital gown. Everything off, including undergarments. "I'll give you privacy." Alone, she faced the full reality of her transformation. The body reflected in the wall mirror belonged to a stranger. Modest curves, softer features, brown hair falling past slim shoulders. She looked like someone's sister, someone's daughter, someone who had never been Robert. The gown felt flimsy, exposing. She climbed onto the examination table, pulling the thin blanket over her legs. A knock preceded the doctor's entrance, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Miss Chen? I'm Dr. Patricia Hendricks. I understand you were in a car accident." "Yes, my friend, he died. I'm so sorry for your loss." Dr. Hendricks pulled up a rolling stool. "The paramedics said you're pregnant. Have you had any prenatal care yet?" "No, I just found out recently." "True enough, in the most twisted way possible. Well, let's take a look and make sure everything's okay. This might be a little cold." The ultrasound gel made her shiver. Dr. Hendricks moved the wand across her stomach, studying the monitor intently. She turned the screen so Robin could see. "There's your baby. See that flutter? That's the heartbeat, strong and steady." She stared at the grainy image. A tiny form, barely recognizable as human, pulsed with life inside her. The aliens' addition to their cosmic paperwork error, now undeniably real. "Everything looks perfect for 8 weeks. You're very lucky, considering the accident." Lucky. She wanted to laugh, or cry, or both. "I'll prescribe prenatal vitamins. You'll want to schedule regular appointments with an OBGYN. Do you have one?" "No, I'll need to find one. I can give you some referrals." Dr. Hendricks made notes on her tablet. "Is the father involved?" "No, it's just me." "That's fine. Plenty of women do this alone. Do you have family in the area? Support system?" Robert's parents lived across the country, but were they Robin's parents now? How far did the aliens' manipulation of reality extend? "My family's in California." "Well, don't hesitate to reach out to them. You'll need support, especially after losing your friend." The doctor finished her examination, declared her remarkably uninjured aside from minor bruising, and discharged her with a bag of supplies: prenatal vitamins, pamphlets about pregnancy, appointment cards for follow-ups. Standing outside the hospital in her blood-stained gray shirt and ill-fitting jeans, she realized she had nowhere to go. Robert's apartment? With the keys in her pocket, thankfully still there? Even work? A taxi ride revealed they did. The one-bedroom apartment looked exactly as Robert had left it that morning. Sports memorabilia on the walls, gaming console by the TV, everything screamed bachelor pad. She stumbled to the bathroom, flipping on the harsh overhead light. The woman in the mirror remained a stranger, brown hair tangled and matted with dried blood. The gray shirt torn at the shoulder. She stripped it off, along with the jeans that pooled around her ankles. The shower ran hot, steam fogging the mirror. She stood under the spray until the water ran clear, then kept standing there, trying to process, to understand, to accept. Marcus was dead. That truth cut deepest. Her best friend since freshman year, gone in an instant of twisted metal and poor timing. They'd been heading to lunch, arguing about whether the Lakers would make the playoffs. Such a normal day until it wasn't. She dried off with a navy towel, then faced a new problem. Robert's closet held nothing but men's clothing. Boxers that wouldn't fit right, jeans that would be too long and loose in the wrong places, t-shirts that would hang like tents. Wrapping the towel tighter, she grabbed Robert's laptop from the desk. Online shopping had never felt so essential. But first, she needed to understand her new identity. Social media provided answers. Robin Chen's profiles stretched back years, complete with photos she'd never taken, statuses she'd never written. The brown-haired woman in the pictures shared Robert's features but softened, feminized. Same nose, same eyes, but on a different canvas. The fabricated history showed a quiet life. Accounting degree from the same university Robert attended. Job at a competing firm across town. Few close friends, no romantic relationships that lasted. A life parallel to but separate from the one she remembered. Her phone, now pink instead of black, buzzed with messages. Coworkers expressing concern about her absence. A reminder about a client meeting tomorrow. The normal detritus of a life she'd never lived but somehow had to continue. She ordered clothes with overnight shipping, undergarments in sizes she had to guess, simple shirts in various colors, black, white, blue, red, jeans that might actually fit, a pair of brown flats since the sneakers by the door would swim on her smaller feet. The rest of the day passed in a haze. She called into work, voice still strange in her ears, explaining about the accident. Her boss, a man she'd never met but who apparently knew Robin well, told her to take all the time she needed. That's horrible about your friend? Were you close? Very. At least that hadn't changed. Evening found her curled on the couch wearing Robert's smallest t-shirt, a faded blue one from a 5K race, and gym shorts cinched tight with a drawstring. The TV played, but she didn't watch. Her hand kept drifting to her stomach, trying to feel something, anything, that indicated the life within. The doorbell startled her from her daze. Through the peephole, she saw a woman about her apparent age, holding a covered dish and looking concerned. Recognition clicked from the fabricated memories. Andrea from down the hall. "Robin, I heard about your accident on the news. Are you okay?" She opened the door partially, aware of her disheveled appearance. "I'm managing. I brought lasagna. Figured you wouldn't feel like cooking." Andrea extended the dish, eyes scanning what she could see. "God, you look exhausted. Do you need anything?" "That's kind of you. Thanks. I'm so sorry about your friend. The news said..." Andrea trailed off. "Well, if you need anything, I'm just down the hall, even if it's just a talk." She accepted the dish gratefully. The kindness of someone who was a stranger but wasn't nearly broke her. After Andrea left, she heated a portion and forced herself to eat. The baby needed nutrients, even if her appetite had fled with everything else. Night brought no sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the truck coming, heard the impact, felt the world tear apart and reassemble wrong. Her body felt like a costume she couldn't remove, every breath a reminder of lungs that weren't quite where they should be. At 3 a.m., she gave up and made tea. The apartment felt too quiet, too empty of Marcus's planned visit that would never happen. They were supposed to work on his dating profile after lunch, help him craft messages that didn't sound desperate. Now he'd never need them. The photo albums on the bookshelf drew her. In this reality, they showed Robin and Marcus, same poses, same events, but with her face instead of Robert's. Birthday parties, graduation, that disastrous camping trip where they'd gotten lost for 6 hours. All real, but not real. "I'm sorry," she whispered to a photo of them at last year's Halloween party. Robert had gone as a pirate, Marcus as a ninja. In this version, Robin wore the same pirate costume, but fitted for her smaller frame. "I'm so sorry you're gone." Morning came eventually. The clothes arrived by 9. The delivery driver didn't question the massive order. She sorted through boxes, grateful to have options that fit. A white cotton bra felt strange but necessary. Panties instead of boxers, each piece another step away from who she'd been. She dressed carefully in dark jeans and a black long-sleeved shirt. The brown flats fit perfectly. In the mirror, she looked presentable. Normal. Like any young woman heading to her friend's funeral planning. Marcus's parents lived in the suburbs. The drive there in her car, a red Honda Civic instead of Robert's gray Toyota, felt surreal. Muscle memory guided her through familiar streets while her mind struggled to reconcile the hands on the steering wheel. "Robin!" Marcus's mother, Elena, pulled her into a fierce hug the moment she opened the door. "Thank God you're okay. When we heard about the accident..." "I'm so sorry." The words felt inadequate. "It happened so fast." Come in. Frank's in the living room." The house smelled like coffee and grief. Marcus's father sat hunched in his brown leather recliner, looking older than his years. He stood when she entered, embracing her with shaking arms. "The police said the truck driver had been drinking," Frank's voice cracked. "Ran 3 red lights before he hit you." Marcus died instantly. He didn't suffer. She hoped that was true. They sat together, planning a funeral for a son taken too soon. Elena showed her photos from Marcus's childhood, stories she knew but heard differently now. The funny, kind, loyal friend who'd made Robert's life better would be buried Thursday. "He talked about you all the time," Elena said softly. "Said you were the sister he never had." Sister. The word stung with its accuracy now. "Will you speak at the service? I know he'd want that." "Of course." She stayed through lunch, picking at a sandwich while they reminisced. The afternoon sun slanted through yellow curtains, casting everything in golden light that felt too warm for the occasion. When she finally left, Elena pressed a small box into her hands. "Marcus was saving this for your birthday. I think he'd want you to have it now." In her car, she opened the box. A silver bracelet with a small charm. A tiny book, because she'd always been the one to recommend novels he ended up loving. The inscription on the back read, "For my best friend, always." The tears came then. Great, gulping sobs that shook her smaller frame. She cried for Marcus, for Robert, for the life turned inside out by cosmic incompetence. She cried until her eyes burned and her throat ached, and the sun started its descent. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number that somehow she knew came from them. "Adjustment period is normal, timeline stable, no further intervention required." She deleted it and drove home. The next days blurred together. She called Robert's parents, explaining as Robin that she'd been in an accident but was fine. They expressed concern but distant. Whatever reality the aliens crafted hadn't made them close. Work emails piled up. She'd have to return eventually, pretend to be someone she'd never been. The prenatal vitamins sat on her kitchen counter, a daily reminder taken with orange juice and resignation. Her body began to feel less foreign, movements more natural. The brown hair she learned to brush and style. The clothes that fit properly made everything easier. Thursday arrived with gray skies that matched the occasion. She dressed carefully in a black dress that fell to her knees, low black heels she'd practiced walking in. The funeral home overflowed with people who'd loved Marcus. Co-workers, college friends, extended family, all united in grief. She spoke from the heart, though not entirely her own. Marcus lived with joy. He found humor in everything, light in the darkest moments. He was the friend who answered at 3 a.m., who helped you move without complaint, who remembered your birthday when you forgot it yourself. The world is dimmer without him, but brighter because he was in it. The burial was private, family and closest friends only. She stood between Elena and Frank as they lowered their son into the ground, their arms linked through hers. The finality of dirt on wood made her knees weak. Afterwards, at the reception in the church hall, she fielded condolences with grace learned on the fly. Yes, she was lucky to survive. Yes, she'd miss him terribly. Yes, she was taking care of herself. Robin? A man approached, tall and broad-shouldered with neat blonde hair. I'm James Walsh, Marcus's friend from the gym. He talked about you constantly. Nice to meet you. She shook his offered hand, noting how it engulfed hers. I'm so sorry for your loss, for everyone's loss. Marcus he was one of the good ones. He really was. James lingered, clearly wanting to say more. I know this is terrible timing, but Marcus always said you were single and, well, he thought we'd get along. Said we had the same sense of humor. I'm not trying to... I just thought maybe coffee sometime? When you're ready. If you're ever ready. I'm saying this all wrong. She blinked at the unexpected development. Can I think about it? Of course, God, I'm an idiot. Here. He handed her a business card. My number's on there. No pressure. Marcus wanted us to meet, and now he can't introduce us, and I'm going to stop talking now. He fled, red-faced. She tucked the card into her black purse, unsure whether to laugh or cry at Marcus's matchmaking from beyond the grave. The weeks passed. She returned to work at a job she'd never done but somehow knew. Muscle memory that wasn't hers guided her through spreadsheets and client meetings. Coworkers welcomed her back with sympathy and space. Her body changed subtly. The slightest swell to her belly, noticeable only when she stood naked before the mirror. Breast tenderness that made her achingly aware of their presence. Morning sickness that struck at random times, sending her rushing for the bathroom. She found an OBGYN, Dr. Michelle Reeves, who had no reason to suspect her patient's impossible origin story. The appointments became routine, weight checks, measurements, listening to the rapid heartbeat that grew stronger each visit. Everything looks perfect, Dr. Reeves said at the 12-week appointment. Ready to find out the gender? Not yet. Some surprises she could control. James texted occasionally. Light messages, memes Marcus would have enjoyed, checking how she was doing. She responded politely, but kept distance. Dating felt impossible when she still struggled to remember which bathroom to use. The second trimester brought energy and appetite. Her belly rounded unmistakably. The black dress from Marcus's funeral no longer fit. She donated Robert's clothes, keeping only that blue race shirt for sleeping, and built a wardrobe that acknowledged her new reality. You're glowing, Andrea said over coffee in Robin's living room. They'd become closer, the neighbor's kindness a lifeline. Pregnancy suits you. Some days. She shifted on the gray couch, her growing belly making every position temporary. I still can't believe it's real. Have you thought about names? Not yet. How could she name a child that existed only because beings beyond comprehension couldn't file paperwork correctly? What about the father? Any chance he'll be involved? No, it's just me. The lie came easily now, simpler than any truth. At 20 weeks, she learned she carried a daughter. The ultrasound tech pointed out tiny features, nose, fingers, toes. All perfect, all impossible. She cried on the examination table, overwhelmed by love for someone who shouldn't exist. James persisted gently. Coffee became lunch, became dinner. He was kind, funny, patient with her walls. An architect who designed sustainable housing and coached youth soccer on weekends. The kind of man Robert might have been friends with, in another life. I need to tell you something, she said over pasta at a red-checkered Italian place. 5 months pregnant, hiding became impossible. I'm pregnant. His fork paused halfway to his mouth. Oh, okay. The father? Not in the picture. Never will be. Okay. He set down his fork, meeting her eyes. Does this change things? Between us, I mean? Doesn't it have to? Not for me. I like you, Robin. Have since the first time we talked. A baby doesn't change that. She studied his open face, searching for deception and finding none. Most men would run. Marcus always said I wasn't most men. His smile turned sad. He'd be thrilled we're doing this, you know. Probably taking credit from wherever he is. Probably. They took it slow. Dinners and movies and long walks where he matched his stride to her increasingly waddling gait. He came to ultrasound appointments, holding her hand while they watched the baby, Lily, she'd decided, grow. His presence felt like betraying Robert while honoring Robin. At 32 weeks, her back aching constantly and her feet swollen, she broke. I don't know who I am anymore. The words spilled out as James rubbed her feet on his beige couch. Everything feels wrong and right, and I can't tell which is which. Hey. He pulled her close, careful of her belly. You're allowed to be scared. This is huge. Sometimes I feel like I'm living someone else's life. Maybe you are. Maybe we all are. But it's still yours now. She wanted to tell him everything about Robert and the void and the incompetent beings who'd rewritten reality on a clerical error. But the words wouldn't come. Some truths were too large for telling. Labor came 2 weeks early. She woke to wetness and pain, reaching for James in the darkness of her bedroom. He drove through empty streets while she breathed through contractions, his hand steady on hers. You've got this, he murmured, as they wheeled her into delivery. You're the strongest person I know. If only he knew how she'd gained that strength. Hours blurred into agony and effort. She pushed when told, rested between, existed in a space beyond thought, where only the next breath mattered. James never left, coaching and encouraging and being present in ways Robert never could have imagined. Then, suddenly, a cry, high and sharp and absolutely perfect. It's a girl, Dr. Reeves announced, placing the squirming bundle on her chest. Lily was tiny and red and the most beautiful thing in any reality. Her daughter. Impossible, improbable, but undeniably real. Love crashed through her like a physical force. She's perfect, James whispered, tears streaming down his face. God, Robin, she's perfect. They brought Lily home to an apartment transformed. James had painted the second bedroom soft yellow while she was restricted to bed rest. The crib he'd assembled with Marcus's dad, bonding over tools and grief and new life. I want to adopt her, he said one night as she nursed Lily in the rocking chair. When you're ready, if you'll have me, both of you. James, I love you, both of you. I know it's fast and complicated and probably insane, but Marcus always said, when you know, and I know. She looked at him in the nursery doorway, this good man who'd chosen them despite everything, who saw Robin as complete, not as the cosmic mistake she sometimes felt. Okay. They married quietly the week before Lily turned 1. Just family and close friends in Elena and Frank's backyard. She wore a simple white dress that fell to her knees. Lily in a matching outfit squirming in her arms. The brown hair she'd learned to love, styled in soft waves. Marcus would be so happy, Elena whispered during the reception, watching James make Lily laugh. He always said you two would be perfect together. I miss him. Every day. But seeing you happy, seeing this beautiful family, it helps. Later, as guests danced on the makeshift floor, she stepped away for air. The night sky stretched endless above, stars hidden by light pollution, but there nonetheless. Somewhere in that vastness, incompetent beings fumbled with universal paperwork. Somewhere, Robert Chen had died in a car crash. But here, now, Robin Walsh lived, mother and wife and friend and all the things she'd never imagined becoming. The transition was complete, irreversible, absolute. She could no more return to Robert than she could reach those hidden stars. There you are. James appeared with Lily drowsing against his shoulder. Someone needs her mama. She took their daughter, breathing in the sweet baby smell that made everything else fade. Lily's eyes, brown like hers, fluttered open briefly before closing again in complete trust. Ready to go home? James asked, wrapping an arm around them both. Yeah. She leaned into his warmth, her small family complete. Let's go home. The drive was quiet. Lily sleeping in her car seat while soft music played. She watched familiar streets pass, no longer strange or foreign. This life she'd never chosen had become the only one she could imagine. At a red light, she closed her eyes briefly, saw Marcus laughing at some joke, saw Robert's face in mirrors that no longer existed, sent a silent thank you to beings who'd made mistakes that led to miracles. The light turned green. They drove on into a future impossible and perfect and entirely their own. 5 years passed. Lily grew into a chatterbox with James's smile and her stubbornness. They moved to a yellow 2-story house with a big backyard and rooms for more children. She made partner at the firm, balancing spreadsheets and school pickups with practiced ease. Sometimes, in quiet moments, she remembered the weight of a different body, the shock of change, the friend lost to save a timeline. But those memories felt distant now, like movies watched long ago. "Mama, look!" Lily ran across the grass in her purple sundress, holding a butterfly on her finger. "It's beautiful." "Just like you, baby." The butterfly flew away. Lily chased it, laughing in the afternoon sun. James appeared from the house with lemonade and sandwiches, setting up lunch on the wooden picnic table. "Lily, food!" "Coming, Daddy." She watched them together, her impossible family born from cosmic error. The woman in the void had said death was flexible. They'd been right about more than that. Life was flexible too. Identity, love, everything bent and shifted and reformed into shapes never imagined. "You okay?" James touched her shoulder, concerned by her stillness. "Perfect." She kissed him, tasting lemonade and forever. Absolutely perfect. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.